Sisters.
I'm Freya.
And I'm Joy.
And this time we'll be going back in time to World War II to see how the U.S. entered into the war. Take it away, Joy.
Isolationism was one of the very things that kept the United States away from the wars for so long because it was prevalent since the 1800s. So, in the 1930s, when the Great Depression was taking its toll on society and the tragic war losses from World War I were still in play, isolation wasn't going anywhere for the time being. In 1931, we see this being put in place. Japan had already just invaded Manchuria, which made President Hoover make the Stimson Doctrine. This doctrine made the United States recognize the aggression but not participate. We can see isolation in the U.S. again with the Neutrality Acts of 1937, which limited citizens from traveling and their ships from transporting goods outside the country. Since the United States had accepted and amended the Neutrality Acts, many things began to change. Over in Europe, Germany had just invaded Poland and eventually overtook 6 more countries in 1939. In November of that same year, Roosevelt persuaded Congress to redo the arms embargo provisions of the neutrality laws so that arms could be sold to France and Britain. France soon fell in the spring of 1940, so Roosevelt made a lend-lease to Britain for protection. America's ability to produce tanks, airplanes, and ships for itself and its allies was also successful for them. Japan's plan to expand east led them to the bombing at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan, and Germany and Italy followed with Japan attacking the U.S. back. Between the times of 1939 and 1941, because of the war beginning, life on the home front was becoming much more difficult considering the Great Depression was still in commotion. A key issue in the economy at this time was the conversion from customer market to military production. Since many of the men left for war, women began taking jobs, including those in factories producing these military products. Children's lives were put on edge with fathers gone and mothers in jobs. They were also neglected because of this, and the amount of child labor increased. Food, gas, and clothing also began to be rationed out due to the low economy. Along with that, Japanese Americans were sent into sectioned-off areas and fenced in. Other races like African Americans were also given a hard time. Jobs were fluent with them, but the racial discrimination still continued. To end off, American life before and during the war was greatly compromised. Whether it was the isolationism ideal, the expansion of Germany, and the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and the way life changed for people on the home front, World War II was one of the biggest wars, with it containing multiple continents and losing many people.